You probably think being a Marvel superhero is all fun fighting bad guys, flying around, and looking awesome on screen. Today we're revealing what it really took to become your favorite superheroes. Elizabeth Olsen may have looked powerful and poised as Scarlet Witch, but wearing that iconic costume was anything but magical. Her original outfit in Age of Ultron was relatively grounded, but as the MCU evolved, so did the complexity and discomfort of her wardrobe. By the time WandaVision and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness rolled around, the costume had transformed into a layered, tight-fitting ensemble complete with a corset, long cape, and headpiece. Olsen revealed that the outfit severely limited her movement, made it hard to breathe, and even gave her trouble using the bathroom during long shoots. Oscar Isaac's turn as Apocalypse was visually intense and physically torture. His costume was made of 13 moving pieces, layers of armor-like fabric, gauntlets, heavy leggings, and wait for it, high-heeled boots to boost his height. Yes, even ancient mutants need to hit that 6'3" villain energy. The suit was so hot and stifling that they installed a cold water IV drip system to keep him from overheating. Isaac later joked about sweating in places he didn't even know had sweat glands. Honestly, it sounds like the suit was less costume and more portable sauna with built-in foot pain. Shaving your head for a role is already a bold move. Sitting through 5 hours of makeup every day to become a blue, cybernetic alien, that's a whole new level of commitment. Karen Gillan did just that to become Nebula. They created a full head prosthetic based on a bust of her own head, essentially turning her into a living sculpture. Later on, the makeup process was shortened, but in those early days, she had to sit still while prosthetic artists essentially reassembled her entire face. She once said it was a weirdly peaceful experience, which is a very chill way of describing having your entire head turned into a high-tech jigsaw puzzle daily. But becoming Yondu was far less fun than it looked. Michael Rooker had to undergo a 4-hour makeup process to be transformed into the fan-favorite alien, and when the day was done, another hour and a half to take it all off. Rooker admitted that the entire process often felt suffocating. Imagine being painted head to toe in vibrant blue, wearing a metal fin on your head, and trying not to sweat it all off under studio lights. It's a miracle he didn't walk off set halfway through filming. Apparently, the secret to saving the galaxy is being painted a primary color. Zoe Saldana's transformation into Gamora involved layers of green makeup, green prosthetics, and green-tinted contact lenses. She basically lived in a shade of green that would make Kermit the Frog jealous. The application process took 5 hours daily, and removal added another 40 minutes. She also had to deal with frequent touch-ups during shoots because sweat and green makeup are a disastrous combo. By the end of the day, her biggest challenge wasn't fighting enemies, it was fighting the urge to scratch her prosthetic-covered face. Wearing the thing's costume wasn't acting, it was survival. For Michael Chiklis, transforming into Ben Grimm meant sitting through hours of grueling makeup every single day. It took over 3 hours just to apply the bulky, rock-like suit, and once it was on, there was no turning back. The latex suit was thick, heavy, and completely sealed. Under the blazing studio lights, it felt like being trapped in an oven. There was no airflow, no comfort, just heat, humidity, and the constant squelch of sweat inside the rubber. Chiklis later said it was one of the most physically demanding experiences of his career, and yet, he still came back for the sequel. Maybe it was passion. Maybe it was the paycheck. Either way, stepping into that stone suit took serious grit. Ryan Reynolds is no stranger to physical comedy, but Deadpool took it to a whole new level. To become the famously disfigured Wade Wilson, Reynolds had to endure up to 8 hours in the makeup chair for facial prosthetics. Every scar and burn was carefully applied to capture Deadpool's charred and comic-accurate look. The worst part? Taking it all off. Reynolds described the vein removal process as feeling like his face was being ripped off, a sentence you'd expect in a horror film, not on a movie set. If you thought Deadpool's suit looked snug on screen, imagine wearing it for hours on end under hot lights. The red and black outfit was anything but comfortable. Ryan Reynolds famously called it a big red body condom, and he wasn't exaggerating. The costume was tight, hot, and unforgiving. It trapped heat, restricted movement, and after long shooting days, it became a sweaty, suffocating mess. Looking like a superhero came at the cost of feeling like one. To become the skull-faced villain Red Skull, Hugo Weaving had to sit through the application of 7 individual prosthetic pieces, each carefully blended to avoid what the creators called the Skeletor effect. Weaving wasn't exactly thrilled with the process. The claustrophobic mask and long hours wore him down, and he made it pretty clear he had no plans to return. Considering how long it took to become red and evil every day, we can't really blame him. Turning into the shape-shifting Mystique wasn't just acting, it was endurance. For Jennifer Lawrence, the transformation meant sitting still for 7 to 9 hours while a team applied blue body paint, prosthetics, and textured scales by hand. It was cold, sticky, and sometimes caused allergic reactions. Imagine starting your day at 2 a.m. just to become a blue mutant who can't even sit down comfortably. Becoming Pennywise. The dancing clown was more nightmare than funhouse for Bill Skarsgård. To bring the terrifying IT villain to life, he had to undergo hours of intense makeup and costuming that pushed him to the edge physically and mentally. The transformation transformation involved heavy white face paint, prosthetics, fake teeth, and yellow contact lenses that made it hard to see. Skarsgård admitted that just wearing the costume made him feel disconnected from reality, exactly what you don't want when you're about to scare children on cue. And let's not forget that absurdly old-fashioned clown suit, layered, hot, and stiff. It looked creepy on camera, but for Skarsgård, it was like being wrapped in an itchy antique rug while trying to contort his body into the nightmare fuel. Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker in The Dark Knight is legendary, but the transformation into Gotham's clown prince of crime was no laughing matter. Ledger immersed himself deeply into the role, isolating himself in a hotel room for weeks to develop the character's chilling laugh and unpredictable mannerisms. The makeup process was equally intense. Ledger collaborated closely with the makeup team, often applying the makeup himself. This approach added a raw and unsettling realism to the character's appearance. Paul Bettany, becoming Vision was more like slow cooking yourself in a high-tech oven. Each day began with hours in the makeup chair as artists layered on red prosthetics, covering nearly every inch of his skin. Then came the ultra-tight synthetic suit, which locked in the heat. The costume was so hot and restrictive that Marvel had to build a custom cooling system into it, tiny tubes running beneath the suit to circulate cold water and keep Bettany from passing out on set. He struggled to hear, couldn't show much facial expression, and barely had the freedom to move naturally. But despite the discomfort, Bettany delivered a calm, thoughtful, almost poetic performance that fans instantly connected with. Playing the Grinch was so miserable, the green suit made of dyed yak hair sewn onto spandex was itchy and suffocating. Makeup took 8 hours a day to apply, and Carey described the process as being buried alive. He was so overwhelmed that production hired a CIA torture expert to train him in pain endurance and mental control. The yellow contacts were so painful, he could barely wear them. Yet despite it all, Carey's over-the-top performance turned the Grinch into a chaotic, beloved Christmas legend. Colin Farrell was unrecognizable as the Penguin, thanks to heavy prosthetics and hours of daily makeup. It took nearly 4 hours to apply the fat suit, facial prosthetics, and scars, transforming him into a grimy Gotham gangster. The layers were hot, heavy, and claustrophobic, limiting his movement and facial expressions. Farrell said he felt trapped, like he was buried beneath rubber, but the result was stunning. Fans were shocked to learn it was him under the makeup, and his gritty, mobster-style penguin became one of the film's standout performances. Becoming Hellboy was a daily endurance test for Ron Perlman. He spent up to 4 hours in the makeup chair each day to apply full-body red prosthetics, sawed-off horns, a massive stone hand, and a long tail. The suit was hot, tight, and stiff, making basic Rivers movement a chore. Add in yellow contacts, facial appliances, and long hours under hot lights, and it was pure discomfort. Still, Perlman embraced it fully, bringing humor and heart to the demon-turned-hero. Fans loved his gruff charm and iconic look, turning Hellboy into a cult favorite character. Downey Jr. made Tony Stark look effortlessly cool, but becoming Iron Man was far from smooth behind the scenes. In the early Iron Man films, he had to wear a practical suit, meaning chunks of actual metal and plastic were strapped to his body. It was bulky, heavy, and incredibly uncomfortable. Downey described it as claustrophobic, especially the helmet, which would snap shut and leave him staring at nothing but darkness. Breathing was tough, and once it was on, he had to stay locked in for long stretches. Not exactly billionaire genius playboy comfort. Later, Marvel switched to CGI suits. Sure, it was lighter, but standing in front of a green screen and skin-tight spandex with tracking markers all over your face isn't exactly glamorous either. Let's kick things off with the God of Thunder himself, except this time, he looked more like the God of Pizza Rolls. In Avengers Endgame, Chris Hemsworth surprised audiences. That look didn't come easy. Hemsworth wore a 90-pound prosthetic suit complete with extra body hair and facial fillers to give Thor that bloated, beer-guzzling charm. It took 3 hours in the makeup chair each day just to achieve that gamer in a post-apocalyptic basement vibe. He called it fun and liberating, which either means he really enjoyed the change or he's mastered the art of PR-level optimism. The next time you watch your favorite hero on screen, remember the hidden battles waged off camera where dedication and an unyielding spirit turned ordinary individuals into unforgettable legends.